Hello, Nigerians. We are still here on Abuja today, live and direct from AGTV studio in Abuja. We mean the studio we have Ajia Ireti Kingibe. Good evening, ma. I hear most people call you Senator Ireti Kingibe.
I
Maybe tell us
think
more about that.
the reason that they do is that there was a time I ran for general election, and I
Okay.
believe most of Abuja voted for me. A good portion of them
Good
did,
people.
and they feel that the election was unfairly taken away.
Okay.
So since then, a lot of people keep addressing me as the people's senator.
Okay, because I've heard from several persons, most people call you Senator Ireti Kingibe. So I was wondering, thank you for that clarification. This is Abuja today, where we take a holistic view of what's happening in Nigeria. Abuja today happening live on earth in the Federal Capital Territory. Today on the show, like I said, we'll take a look at 2023 general election.
Mhm.
How do you view this? You are the flag bearer of the Labour Party in the FCT
Yes,
for
I am.
the only senatorial seat.
Yes.
How did you view 2023 general election?
Well, 2023 general election, I think, is a very, very critical election. It's a time when people have to take stock. When I mean Nigerians have to take stock of where we're coming from and where do we want to go.
From here.
Yes. And the reason I'm running is because at first I wasn't going to, but then the country and specifically FCT has not gotten to where I think it should. So it's not yet time for people to go indoors and leave it, so to speak. And as for the electorate, the responsibility is on them to examine the three of us running. I'm sure there are other people, but we're the three major ones.
Okay.
And see who will best represent their interest.
Come 2023. Moving forward, still talking about the 2023 general election. What is Nigerians up against?
In what way?
Beautiful. Nigerians have said the PDP has a man who is elderly. Nigerians have said the APC has a man who is elderly. And obviously, your party seems to have this kind of dim of Nigerians' light. Although there is this argument of the fact that he has no structure, he has no this, he has not that. I ask you, what do you think Nigerians will be up against?
Well, I don't think it's Nigerians that are up against that. It's up to them to go and decide who they want.
Okay.
But when we come to the subject of structures are people.
Yes.
And as long as in different states, in FCT, I have structures which I have built over 20 years.
Okay.
The House of Rep man, he was councillor. So he
in
also,
FCT.
in FCT, he has structures. So at the end of the day, we do have the necessary people
on ground,
and they are the structures. That's number one. And Nigeria needs a leader who cares, who understands the problem, who gets it. And I think maybe a few years ago, the other presidential candidates may have had a lot to offer. But the truth is, I know from how I feel now and how I probably felt 10, 15, 20 years ago that you do get more tired as you get older.
That's true. And would you say that your candidate has more in stock for Nigerians?
Yeah, definitely, I think he does.
What are those areas you feel that makes him more qualified, more viable for this seat?
For one thing, he has a good track record of. I tend to judge how people have how they have performed in a smaller space.
Okay.
I use that to judge how they are going to perform in a bigger one.
If given the opportunity.
Yes, that's one. Secondly, I also think that he understands that human capital development is key.
Okay.
And it really is. Look at all the young people going around, no work, so many things. And to just get it is not enough. You have to have solutions that you feel will work.
Some have argued that your candidate, as Peter Obi,
Mm-hmm.
is just speaking English.
Yes.
That is not realistic, and the assertions he's giving are not practicable here in Nigeria.
I
How do you
disagree.
react to that?
No, I disagree. Everything is practicable once you're willing to do it.
So it's about political will.
Yes, it's about political will. Like in the FCT now, some of the solutions that I think we can use for our problems, especially human development, especially young people who are jobless, they may not be the conventional solutions, but it doesn't matter as long as it gets you off the streets and earns you a living.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in an office or in a ministry. It just means you're producing something.
Some have argued that FCT is lacking in some of these things you've mentioned due to the lack of a state status, due to the limited number of representation and government structures in the FCT. But I ask again, FCT has a minister who acts in the capacity of a governor, representing the president. And the minister has mandate secretaries. And there are other departments and agencies under the FCTE with just one senator. Would you say these are major reasons why FCT is still not developing as it ought to?
No, I don't think. First of all, the representatives we've had so far, what bills have they passed? How much have they done to improve on the lot of FCT? FCT may not be a state, but it's supposed to be treated like a state. That's one.
As it's stated in the Constitution.
Yes, it's supposed to. Now, there are certain policies, I call them housekeeping, that need to be passed. Remember that the National Assembly is the equivalent of the State Assembly for FCT.
Would you say that FCT is not working as it ought to?
Nowhere is working as it ought to, except Lagos and a few places.
Wow. Now, you've highlighted a lot of things that should be looked at. Healthcare and then education,
agriculture, gender mainstreaming.
Yes.
That should be looked at. Women exist.
Okay.
They are 50% of the population. But I think the last census figure was 49.2, maybe slightly more men overall in the country. But when it comes to politics, women voters are more.
Okay.
Secondly,
benefiting from the proceeds.
They benefit the least.
Okay.
Secondly, when it comes to all the issues in terms of bad schools, lack of food security, lack of general security, all those things, women and a lack of healthcare, women are the main victims of these things.
Because they have more of the receiving end.
Exactly.
All
if there's no food in the house, your father can get up and go out. Your mother is not going anywhere. She's going to stay there and try to figure out what she's going to do with you. You understand? Because she's not going to let you starve. So I believe that a lot of things would improve if you had more women in governance.
More women in governance, more women in governance, and more women in governance. That is Ajia Ireti Kingibe talking about more women in governance, good governance, healthcare, agriculture, among others, quality representatives. She's aspiring to be the senator of the FCT. Thank you for coming to the program.
My pleasure.
It's been nice having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Nigerians, that's all we can take for today. We hope to have you more and more again.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.